Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the stream. I'm so happy all of you could be here. I am super excited, not only for tonight's stream, but also as I put in the, kind of advertisement for today's video, I'm super happy that we're officially getting back into modeling season. How exciting is that? It is what I would consider to be the eve of the real return to modeling season. I'd argue the day after Labor Day truly is the time where modeling season truly kicks off. The kids are going back to school. Less busy summer activities to do outside, and it's time to get back into the basement or into your modeling room and start to model. Now, I, of course, have not taken as big of a break this year as I have in years past, and next year might try to make sure I get a bigger break in. But I'm really excited for everybody else to get back into modeling season, which is kicking off apparently tonight. So again, super happy to have you all here. We've got a fun stream planned tonight, working on the Finger Lakes 1703 project. I've got a ton of detail parts to put on, most of which you can see here are all from Wallace Locomotive Works. Just ended up messaging him last week and finding out that half of the stuff I needed for this project he was working on releasing, so I guess worked out well. But I've also got a fun little super detailing part, which is these etched metal grills that we started working on last week. You can see I've got the fan, or the vents installed on one side already. We still got to do the other side. And then we've got the grill mesh itself to do on all 4 sets of grills. So that's where we're going to start tonight. But I do have something that I'm hoping everybody is excited to see, because, well, I'm excited that it got done today, and he might not be out there just yet, but my buddy Rob was here today along with my buddy Mike, and they were a massive help to me today on a project for the main layout. And hopefully, as long as it's going to work, I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek at the next layout update by switching over to the mobile camera real quick. Check this out. So, super exciting news. The layout itself is going to have a nice white finished looking ceiling over the top of it, which is going to, obviously serve 2 purposes. The first of which is going to be to reduce the amount of dust that gets through. I've got hardwood floors up top on the main floor of the ranch, and that means that some dust does sneak through and covers the layout. So I've got to keep up with it. But that's the main thing. The second thing is, well, I've got a lot of light down here, especially over the layout, but it doesn't ever seem to be enough. So it seemed like the next natural step in the progression was going to be to add, some sort of white ceiling to help reflect light, so that hopefully it helped brighten things up. The area which I have this over is the west end of Geneva Yard and over Canandaigua, and this was like the darkest area of the layout. I can say already that it is significantly improved from what it was, but I think I still want to change the light fixture to be a track light, similar to what I've got in other parts of the layout, so that I can specifically make sure that I'm throwing light where it needs to be. Like I said, it's a lot better, but this just LED panel is not putting light exactly where it needs to be. I'm hoping that operators who have operated here in the past and see this change will be super happy. Tim, of course, being one of them, Garrett being one of them. I think Rick's out there too, him being one of them. But yeah, I did 4 by 8 foot panels. I put those up today. This is kind of going to be a test section because the material that I used, it's a MDF panel of sorts. It comes pre-painted in this white with this great design, which I really think looks super clean as a ceiling. But it's a test because it is a very thin material, and I want to make sure that it's going to hold up to a little bit of humidity. I've got a dehumidifier that runs down here all the time, but you know, if I forget to change to dump out the bucket, you know, there's times where the humidity crawls a little bit higher. So I want to make sure that this is going to be a good change and hold up over time. So I'm going to kind of try to give it maybe 6 months with just these 2 panels up here. Make sure everything looks good before I do the whole basement. And then the goal is to have a really nice looking semi-finished basement by the time the 2028 National Convention rolls through town. This is one of these changes that I want to make sure is good to go well before then so that I can focus on the main layout. But anyway, awesome stuff. Let me take a look at who's out here and say hi to everybody. Looks like we've got quite a few people in here. I'm happy to have you all here. We've got Garrett. He was here first thing. Scott's here. Boxcar Jerry's here. Caboose 1973's here. Welcome. Rick's here. Adam's here. And the Deerper is here. Steve's here. Welcome. Let's see. Ray's here. Tim's here. Santa Fe guy's here. Awesome. Welcome in, guys. Really appreciate having you. Let's flip back over to the workbench camera. Yeah, Ray, I maybe I'll miss all the dust. You know, I do. Ironically, as I've explained multiple times in many forms, my goal is to model a fall morning where there's frost on the ground or just lifting. So the dust has kind of been a natural frost layer in parts of the layout. But I'm happy to get things out of the way. That's for sure. GTA is the soundtrack we're getting tonight. All right, awesome. I can't hear the sound of the music, but hopefully it's okay. Yeah, Adam. More light is good to an extent for sure. Definitely don't want to blind people, but like I said, that corner of the layout has been a problem being too dark. So I'm hoping now, more than ever, it's going to be better than it has been. Anyway, the first thing we're going to work on tonight is getting the radiator louvers in on this side of the shell, and then we'll move on to, while the glue dries on that, doing a little bit of detail work on the sill. And then I've also got a jar of Tamiya clear orange, which we're going to be using for the beacon as well. So I went and got a brand new pair of nippers from Dan's Crafts and Things in Rochester today. I'm hoping I can make some nice clean cuts and get everything nice and flush with these. I am just a little nervous though. I don't want to bend anything. So what I might do actually is just kind of conservatively cut outside. There we go. Let me zoom you guys in here real quick. How to model frost in one easy step: dust. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Hopefully that's going to be good enough for you guys tonight. And if we need to zoom in further, we can for sure. Okay, that one's loose. Might as well get this one loose as well. maybe we do need to zoom in a little bit more. Okay. Hopefully we're zoomed in enough, and while I get to work on this, I would love to know what all of you have on your layouts as we officially get into modeling season. What's everybody got going on? I wonder if these are just made to kind of break off, because it doesn't seem to want to come off easily. If anybody's got recommendations as to how to remove these tabs, I am all ears. It does seem as though there's like a weakened portion that's supposed to come off, but I'm not so worried about the louvers as I am the actual mesh grills, because obviously I want a nice flush cut on those. Yeah, Tim, you've been a busy guy lately, that's for sure. Hopefully you get some modeling time of your own here soon. Seems like maybe things have, hopefully, will be settling down for you. Rick's finishing up his O-scale S2. Saw and heard that this morning. Man, does it sound fantastic with that, what is the speaker type? Those big speakers you can cram in those O-scale units that just got so much insane amount of bass. Brandon's got 3 cars on the layout for couplers, awesome. Tang band, okay, cool, Rick. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm gonna need to do here to make sure I get a flush cut, especially on these grates, the grill grates, but I'm not getting as flush of a cut as I would like off of those Xeron cutters, Xeron, however you pronounce it. File it? Okay. It's such a thin metal that I was nervous to file them, but I can certainly do it. Yep, that's definitely the ticket. Thank you, Rick. What would I do if you weren't out there in the stream, huh? Well, really, I don't think I need to worry about the interior ones, but it's good to know that that's going to work when we get to the exteriors. So, what I've been doing for these louvers is kind of just attempting to get them in place. Oops, I got a piece of plastic that's got to get removed here quickly. There we go. So I've been trying to maneuver them in place and then take one of my clips and clip it in. So I'm going to try to get that done here in a relatively smooth fashion. Thankfully, I should be able to do a little bit of fine-tuning once it's in there as well. Looks good. Whoops. That's a bummer that you blew a speaker there, Garrett, but maybe it's a good opportunity to get a scale sound system speaker. Ooh, I just got super glue all over this glove. I'm just gonna take it off so I don't risk getting it somewhere it doesn't belong. Yeah, Santa Fe guy, you know, that's I've been grateful that really what ends up happening on these streams is I end up learning from everybody that's involved here. You know, I make no claims that I'm anywhere close to being a master modeler at this point in my life. So I enjoy learning from everybody out there in the live stream chats and hopefully passing that knowledge on to everybody else that watches the streams now or in the future. Okay, so I've got just a small applicator here. Everything should be where I want it. So I'm just gonna add a small dab of glue in some critical areas and then leave it to dry. Cool. All right, so as long as we didn't have a random shift, yep, we're good on that one. And we can move on to the back one here. Santa Fe guy, that's exactly how half of my work gets done too. I mean, my feature scene on the layout for now is the Seneca Lake scene, and I just dove headfirst into that and got to work, and it all worked out. That's I love working that way, honestly. Not being afraid to mess things up and just kind of diving in head first seems to work out well for me. But because of that, I do feel it's my duty to share my trials and tribulations with others so that they don't make the same mistakes as I do. Because there's certainly mistakes that get made. The other way is how I need that in there. As always, guys, if I pull this out of frame for some reason tonight, make sure you let me know. I'm trying to work in frame, just sometimes naturally pull it away. I think I might actually need to file on this one just to get it to sit flush in there. Doesn't seem to want to. Catch up on the chat here. That's a tough one to lose, Garrett. All right, hopefully this is good enough to get away with. Yep. I have in the back of my mind been thinking, you know, Athearn does have a Genesis GP9, but they have not done the variant that I need. But boy, it's gonna stink when they inevitably do the variant that I need, and I'm doing all this super detailing. I'm happy with that. Location, might need to adjust it just a tiny bit if I can. Okay. It's gotta come back a little bit. Oop, might have gone too far. Hey Dennis, welcome in, my friend. Yeah, take the night off, absolutely. Well deserved. How's that? I think I am very happy with how that looks. Okay. Let me get a little bit of glue on this, and then I will set it aside to dry. We may revisit this tonight and get the actual grills on, but I am not promising anything. So, other exciting news. This week is another brand new video on the channel. We've been doing weekly uploads for the last few weeks. It might stay weekly after this week, I'm not sure. But really excited about this week's video because I am endeavoring into a project with a bunch of other creators. And it's really going to be an exciting video. So I hope, if you got the time, that you tune in on Friday. And that'll be... Oh, that shifted on me. I better get it shifted back before any glue's starting to set on me. That. But yeah, Friday, I believe 2 p.m. is when the video is set to air, but it should be pretty awesome. Hey Sean, welcome in. Speaking of people I'm working with on this particular project, Sean's here. I'm working with him. Sean, I also sent you an email about another project that you and I had discussed for the NMRA. We're doing a joint build session of T-Track modules with the RIT Club. So I sent Sean, you had said to reach out to you about that, so I sent you an email. Hopefully you saw it. I know that you've been mentioning on stream that there's been some issues with spam coming into your email, so just wanted to make sure that you got it and everything. Looking forward to hearing back from you. Another fun thing that we can follow up on real quick before we get into any more detail work, though, is this. So this is the test piece that we were using last week, and I put these numbers on, which you can kind of still see, which I'm kind of bummed about. I might just need to make sure that when I do the ones that actually go on the freelance locomotives, that I spend a little bit more time microsawing them, because these are really raised up and you can still see them. But the crazy part about this swatch now is that there's actually two different types of paint on this swatch, and they're both stock colors. One is, well, actually, let me see if I can just find them for you. Second. So one is, of course, the color I've been using to paint my freelance locomotives, which is this True Color Erie Green, but the other is Tamiya JN Green, which happens to be pretty much a spot-on match for Erie Green, which is awesome for me because I much prefer working with acrylics to the solvent-based True Color paints. And what this also means is a lot of the chipping mediums that we were talking about last week on stream. I know John M was mentioning them a bunch. I don't see him out there tonight, but he had mentioned them initially. But those don't work with a solvent-based paint. But they do work, and Tamiya has their own chipping fluid. So I'll be able to utilize that when I build the SD40-2s in order to have a little bit of Dennis's BNCCS blue shining through and a little bit of his, what I like to call, crimson mud. So that works out incredibly, incredibly well. I'm super happy. I already had this on hand, which is kind of crazy. But I'm basically just going to be adopting this as the standard green color for every freelance locomotive that I make from here on in, just because it's going to be way easier to work with this than the True Color paint. It's more accessible to me. I've got a hobby shop right in Rochester that sells Tamiya paints, so I can always just run over there if I'm in a pinch and buy more. This I have to order offline, which I also do like to support my local hobby shops too. So all of it is going to work out very, very well for me. And I'm looking forward to being able to have a more accessible, more friendly paint available for sure. That's awesome, Sean, that you just got home from the big trains. That's exciting. Santa Fe guy, same thing. It sounds like some bigger trains. Hey, CSX 2566, welcome into the stream. Tim, I don't know if Adam Miller sells Tamiya. If they do, boy, that would be super convenient. In all honesty, I haven't been into Adam Miller. Gosh, it's probably been at least a decade, if not more, since I've been in there. So I'll have to check. I was mostly referencing Dan's Crafts and Things as being the place where I could get it. I was in there today and bought a bunch of stuff. I bought these sanding needles, and I bought the Tamiya Clear Orange. I got a couple of bottles stocked up on Vallejo cement, and also ended up with a bottle of Dark Earth. And I also got some clear red as well, because I've been working on a lot of class lights, and this is going to be super useful for those. Just one color class lights is all I've been doing. But yeah, this actually, so I'll show you guys another project I've been working on before we get into too much detail work. But this Vallejo concrete color, as it turns out, is a really perfect color match for, oh, where did I put them? Here they are. For something else that I've been working on. Some of you know the past week I was actually camping. And when I camp, one of my favorite activities to do when I'm sitting around just relaxing is to work on wire form trees. You can see this is kind of what a completely raw, unfinished one looks like when I'm done bending all the wire. But I have fun, it's like whittling, It's just something to do while you're sitting around a campfire. But this is what a somewhat more complete one looks like. Basically, I combine a little bit of Mod Podge and some modeling paste and kind of build out the trunk of the tree and the branches and everything. So this one's somewhat painted. I went in and re-added some modeling paste that I've still got to go back in and paint. But this bark texture is actually Vallejo cement gray, and it turns out that it is a very, very good match for the gray-brown color of a lot of hardwood type of trees. So excitingly, I'm going to be able to use that color specifically in order to do the trunks. And then if I zoom in, I'm not sure how well this is going to come through the camera, but a technique that I had attempted earlier this year on stream was, while the modeling paste was still wet, was to go through with an old golf club cleaning brush, and make striations straight down the trunk so that you get bark texture. And the bark texture worked out great. I then went in with a lighter gray and dry brushed on just on the ridges to really give it some texture. It may not come through all that great on here, but I am super excited with how this turned out. This was the first one that I've tried, and I really think that it's gonna work out well. I still got, some perfecting to do. This definitely didn't turn out perfectly, but I'm really excited with how it looks so far, and excited to continue to perfect that part of my craft. I really enjoy working with organics, enjoy building model organics, I should say. That's probably my favorite part of the hobby, is just sitting around a campfire and putting together trees. So yeah. Hey Chris, you made it in just in time for us to start working on some 3D printed detail parts from Wallace Locomotive Works. Yeah, Dennis, you could definitely do these in N scale. They're super easy. I mean, the grapevines that I did are all very similar. I mean, they're probably about the size of an N scale tree. So it would work out well. If you're willing to put in the time, they look better than super trees or anything like that. So I use them as feature trees throughout the layout. I think my plan is for the Fremo modules that I'm actually going to do a majority wireform trees on the Fremo modules, just because I don't have a ton of them to do, and I want them to be durable. I want them to last, and I want them to be able to take a beating. So I think the wireform trees are going to do that a little bit better than some of the other trees are that I've utilized in the past, mostly being Santa Fe trees, or super trees. And yes, Santa Fe guy. Not sponsored, hashtag not sponsored, but Chris is an awesome guy, and I love using his products, so I don't mind shouting him out, that's for sure. So anyway, the things we've got to do while the KV Models grill grates dry on the long hood of the locomotive is start to work on a little bit of the detail parts on the sill itself. We've got 2 MU stands that we've got to put on. The other thing we can do is work on getting the hand brake in on the nose of the locomotive, which I've got to find the nose. Here we go. Actually, I might need to double check what that's got to be, because I thought that there was a cavity right in here, but there's not one. So that might need to be on the rear of the locomotive. Yeah, KV Models, this is my first time using their actual locomotive detail parts, but I am very impressed with how finely etched these are. Really great stuff for sure. I've used their, what are they called? I'm drawing a blank now. They're joint bars on the Penyan side of my layout. I use those just to represent some stick rail, and I really liked the way they looked, and I almost was ready to do the rest of the layout with those, but you know what? The more I thought about it, the more I realized that even though they look great, nobody sees those. Nobody sees those. So I didn't bother to do those with the rest of the layout when I did them. But maybe someday I'll go back in and install them at a later date. But anyway, so the first thing we're gonna do is get these MU stands on the pilot, and I think that's it for pilot detail. Then we're gonna go in and get the strobe light all, well, partially prepped. We're gonna do some gloss coat. Chris, since you're here, I know that I've got to do some gloss coats to this, and I think you recommended to Mia in the instructions for them, but I've got this premium gloss coat. I'm hoping, I mean, it's a water-based, it's still acrylic, and it's a gloss coat, so I'm hoping I'm able to get away with using that as the gloss coat for the lenses. If for some reason that shouldn't work, please feel free to let me know. And then once we're done with that, I need to take these bells out of the package, because I actually have to do a slight modification to these bells in order to get them to work for what I need. The bell on 1703 has kind of an angled bracket on it, so I'm just going to take it and file down a little bit of the bracket itself to get the angle I need. Shouldn't be too big of a deal there. But anyway, enough talking about things. Let's get to it. So I actually already had one of these on, and it unfortunately fell off, but I do need to get the other side on. Let me just cut the sprues off of this really quickly. And then get a file out here, and I'll make sure that it's super flat before we put it on. And that's what I appreciate most about Chris. If there's an issue, he's always willing to help. Awesome. Okay, well, I'm managing to not sand that quite flat. All right, that one's good. Let me clean up this one. This one, like I said, I had on and it fell off just because I was handling it. I bumped it. Glad I could find it. I was joking with Chris, you know, when all of this was coming out, that this locomotive is apparently going to end up being just like a walking billboard of Wallace parts, because he's got everything that I needed. So it worked out well. That's not actually quite sanded flush. The glue that was on it is a lot harder than the actual resin from the 3D print, so it's taking a little bit more to get it off. But we should be good now. Yeah, some new unreleased parts, yeah. 5 minutes from being released. Yeah. I told that story last week, Chris, that I had messaged you to add a couple of things onto the order, and then sure enough, a bunch of other stuff that I was looking for, you were just about to release, which is crazy. Well, actually, I don't know if you were just about to release them or if you were, you know, if you fast-tracked them, but hey, it works out well. I believe this MU stand itself was one of those things, and then the handbrakes he released while I was talking to him, and I had him add those to the order. Scott, I don't have a video on how I did those trees. I do intend on making one eventually. But it is very similar to the process that I used when I made my grapevines. So you can kind of go watch that to get an idea of it. And then, you know, time permitting, I will get a video on how I made the trees out, for sure. It's somewhat similar to the Boomer method that he's shown a couple of times. Well, he's shown a couple of different ways to make trees, which is pretty awesome. But it's somewhat similar to a few of his methods, but I did adapt a little bit of it to make it my own. especially the coloring part of it is definitely, and the texturing part of it is definitely my own. But yeah, I definitely fully intend to make a video out of that at some point. It's just going to have to be a time permitting thing, of course. I mean, I know, let's see, what do I got? I've got one video already scheduled to go out on Friday. I'm hoping to finally put out a main layout update the week after that, and that's going to be a fun one for people who aren't in the know with how things have been going with the main layout, because there's some crazy stuff that we've got to cover in the next layout update. So we'll definitely talk about that. And then after that, you know, there's going to be kind of a reoccurring project other than the layout. We might get another Freemo video in where I'm starting scenery, but it might make sense to kind of combine the tree making video with the start of scenery on the Freemo layout, just because, like I said, I do plan on using those trees on the main layout. Okay, hopefully, yep, that's pretty good. Oh, I should have left it alone. Okay, so we're gonna leave those alone, and now I'm gonna get into doing the rotary beacon. And Chris, I don't know if this is even something that you'd be able to do, but the beacon that I'm doing actually sits on a pedestal on the locomotive, and I'm thinking it's probably too fine a detail for you to be able to print, because it's a thin bracket in real life. I might be able to get away with reusing a little bit of this kind of etched metal for it, but the bracket it sits on, it sits elevated on the long hood, actually on the blanked out dynamic brake fan is where it sits, and it's elevated. So I've got to figure out how I'm going to do that, but for now, we'll just roll with it as is. Okay, so these are the parts that I need to paint orange. And I do have my airbrush if I need to do it that way, or I can hand paint it. But since we've got him here, let's see what he says. Chris, what should I hand paint the lenses orange, or should I just use the airbrush? I've never used a Tamiya paint, Tamiya clear paint before, but I've got it, and I can do whatever one's going to be easiest for sure. You guys won't get to see me paint any. Well, I could bring the mobile camera over, but let me know if it's recommended that I airbrush, because I will go ahead and airbrush if I need to. And actually, in the meantime, I'm going to start planning on that being the case, and I will hopefully get the mobile camera ready to show the paint booth. Okay, just hand paint them. Perfect. I will do that then. And then the lenses themselves, I will bust out the paint booth for, since I've got the rattle can for that. Let's see if the mobile camera is even going to work. I'm guessing, I think Tim said that I need to make sure I put a layer on the outside and the inside of the lenses. But I think what I'll plan on doing is just doing the outside of the lenses first, 2 coats on the outside first, and then taking them out and doing the inside off the sprue. So, all right. So let me see if I can get the mobile camera working again, because I'm not sure why it stopped. I have been having all sorts of problems with it though, unfortunately. Well, we might be SOL on that tonight. Oh well. No biggie. I will get it rattle canned at least. Let me get I'll get the initial coat on now. That way it's done. And then we can go from there. Just put it in the helping hand so I don't have to touch it. This rattle can, I do prefer using, you know, the airbrush for fine paint work, color work, but this gloss coat from a rattle can has worked out well for me. Okay, there's coat 1 on those, and then as I understand it, I'm looking to do 2 coats on the inside and 2 coats on the outside. The only thing I'm nervous about is, hey Andy, welcome in, glad to have you. The only thing I'm nervous about is trying to get that, you know, kind of broad spray in the underside of these once I've got them off the sprue. So we'll see how that goes. In the meantime though, it's time to start working on the orange itself, which I think, right, same thing we want to do. Yeah. Yes, once paint's dry. Okay. Okay, so sounds like I'm good to go pretty much straight out of the can with this. Yeah, actually, that reminds me, Tim. Thank you. Anybody that's in the area, the Genesee Society of Model Engineers is having their train show this Sunday. And if you're in the area, feel free to stop by. It is one of the largest train-only shows that you can get to. Oops, of course I goofed that up. I should probably just put it on a set of helping hands and leave it so that I can't bump it like that. Like I said, train-only show, or train sale-only show. We don't allow toys in. We don't have any layouts. It is just wall-to-wall tables with trains for sale. And that's this Saturday, September 7th at the Genesee Community College Field House. So look forward to seeing you there if you're in the area. It's worth the drive for sure. Last couple of years, we've started having guys come up from out of state, which has been pretty awesome. Pretty humbling that our show is good enough that they want to do that. And it's only going to get better. is for sure. Wow, this is cool stuff. I've never used, like I said, any sort of Tamiya clear paints at all. So this is exciting. Can't believe how well this goes on. I've been creative in the past and used some other techniques in order to get a translucent class light and stuff like that. But now that I've tried this is game changing for sure. In fact, I'm actually tempted to try something on my freelance locomotive after seeing how well this is going on. Hopefully you guys can see it okay. Cool. All right, so there's coat 1 done. Hopefully, yeah, you can kind of see them. Yeah, Chris, it's a semi-annual show. So next one's going to be, we did get a date for it. It's going to be March. What did we decide? I think we decided March 6th is when it's going to be. If you're interested in being a vendor, you know, let us know as well. For now, it's a one-day show. I'm trying to pull them towards it being a two-day show because I know that makes it more worth it for people from out of town coming in, vendors. So we'll see. But yeah, it's definitely worth the drive up, you know, for just to be a customer or to be a vendor at, for sure. I would love to get some more kind of cottage industry guys in the door because we've got a lot of, you know, train tables full of trains to buy, but we don't have the fun little detail parts and stuff like that. So it would be fun to get a good balance of that stuff in the door for sure. Yeah, Garrett, the show that started the bad decisions, huh? That's cool, Chris. Well, the bummer that they went discontinued so quickly, but cool that you were able to finally find an alternative. Okay, so I went and pulled the Freelance GP30 off because you'll see the lenses that I've got in here, they've got like a red backing on them, but I've never really liked the way they look as is because the red's on the back, and I think I'm gonna try to paint the actual exterior of the lens red and hopefully have a better looking lens because of it. Let's see if it's actually going to work though. Oh yeah, that is so much better. Ooh, okay. Yep, super happy with that. Awesome. Might need a little bit more on this one, I think. Nice. Yeah, that looks way better. Yeah, I'm excited to see what ends up on your hoarder table there, Rick. Maybe I'll come home with some stuff. I'm going up to the Northeast Region Convention, NMRA Convention, the next weekend. So I'm hoping to be a little bit conservative with the amount that I spend at the show, which is usually not hard for me being a member of the club and, you know, running around like a chicken with my head cut off working the event. But still manage to come home with some stuff most of the time. Okay, cool. All right, so that's done. let's see. What do we want to do next? Oh, I want to see. You should be okay to handle now. I think this is going to work out well, the gloss coat. It looks pretty good. Like I said, I still have to do the interior of the inside. So there's still a little bit of work left to do for sure, but still looks good. Austin, welcome in. Glad to have you. Yeah, Garrett. Let Mike know if you ever want to table at the show for sure. I know it'd probably be a lot easier for you to sell stuff at our show than it would be at the RIT show, I would assume. Just logistically with how busy you are at your own show. Okay, so we've got the MU stands on. MU receptacles I already had on, but those are a Wallace part as well. We've got the gloss coat on the beacon. We've got the colored coat on the beacon itself as well. I think the next thing is going to be the handbrake. Once I know I'm safe to remove the two clips off of the long hood section. But in the meantime, what I can do is hopefully modify the bells to work properly for what I need. So let's pull one of these off and see how well this is going to go. That's awesome, Andy. Okay, let's see. Got a little bit of flashing to clean up here. That's good. Now, all I need to do is just, this is going to be really hard for you guys to see, I think. But you can kind of see that the bracket itself is straight across. All I need to do is take that from being straight across and make it slightly angled. Because, like I said, that's how the bracket on the real 1703 is. So hopefully I can do this. Let's see, what do I got in here for a thinner file, because I don't, this one's so wide that I keep bumping the bell itself, and I don't want to do that. It might be the one I want it anyway, though. Hey Ted, welcome in. Glad to have you. No worries about being late. We still got about a half hour at least of show left. All right, let's see if we can safely do this. This is why I am glad that there's multiple bells in this pack, because if this one doesn't end up working out, thankfully, I can kind of just save the other one and use it as is. Let me see if I can get it. Might have better luck if I can get my other hand away from the bracket. All right, Chris. Well, thanks for tuning in if you don't make it back, but hopefully you do. Trying to be slow and methodical here and make sure I don't end up ruining the belt itself. which I seem to be doing. Try, maybe if I use a different file, I can be a little bit more careful about how close I'm getting to the bell. That might work a little bit better for me. I think that's working. I think I'm getting the angle that I want out of this. The only thing I need to check is really how tapered the bracket is, because I don't want to go too far with this. So let me just pull up a reference photo on my phone. So I did also get another fun call the other day from the chairman of the 2028 National the National Convention, NMRA Convention, and he asked me if I'd like to be involved with a bit of the planning process for the event, which I very quickly said yes to. So it sounds like I'm going to be somewhat involved with it, and the place in which I'm going to be involved is going to be with planning prototype tours and with... Whoa, okay. I got something fun to show you guys after. Hold on. With prototype tours and with the excursion. So that'll be really fun. What doesn't look prototypical, Heath? We're working on a prototype locomotive here. Come on, get off my back. So this is the reference photo that I just pulled up, everybody. And I'm not super familiar with the history of this locomotive, but as I'm looking at it, I noticed the long hood says Massachusetts Central Railroad. Huh. So it must be that at some point in its life, it was not on Finger Lakes property, but on the Massachusetts Central. So interesting stuff. May have to go up, look up a little bit more of the history of this locomotive. I know that the Finger Lakes has had some funky situations where they've had locomotives off property. Most recently, of course, was the one in Maine that they were leasing from the state. That got shut down recently, and those two units are back on property. But that sort of situation has arisen on many occasions. So I'm assuming the Mass Central at one point was a Finger Lakes run entity, or was going to be in some capacity, that's really interesting. I did not know that, if so. Yeah, that's a weird way to spell Finger Lakes, yeah. Yep, Midco Service was the one in Maine that recently ended, but I didn't know anything about a Mass Central situation. Let me see if I can kind of zoom you guys in more. They've known I'll say yes, Andy. That's part of the problem, right? That's, you and I with the NERX stuff too, of course. They know I'll say yes. This is one, you know, when I initially joined the NMRA, though, this is one that I specifically had in mind as wanting to be involved with. Being that this national convention is in my own backyard, I wanted to be involved with the planning process. I wanted to be involved as the assistant superintendent of the division with the decision-making process, so that I made sure that my division was being represented well. And that sort of thing. So this was a very easy yes for me, despite, you know, maybe having a little less capacity than I would like in my schedule these days. But I digress. But it also, you know, just once again makes me grateful for the Talkin' Trains live stream specifically, because even though my schedule with NMRA stuff and, you know, other parts of my administrative side of the hobby might get busy, I know I always have at least one night a week where I'm going to be at the workbench. And one night a week where I'm going to be able to hang out with you guys, which is just awesome. Chris is back. Awesome. I didn't say the joke out loud, Chris, but I had thought it in my head that maybe Chris was running away because he couldn't bear to see that we were modifying his gorgeously 3D printed parts. But it seems to be going relatively well. Already got one side of the bell bracket taken care of, and we're just slowly, carefully making sure we do the same on this side. Get the taper matched as well as we can, and then hopefully by the time we're done doing this, I should be able to maybe take those clamps off of the grill grate so that we can maybe get that wrapped up tonight. We'll see. Yep, this is a piece of rice, Heath. No, this is a Wallace Locomotives Works bell. Which bell is it specifically? Hood mount bell. And Chris did a great job with the bell, but it's not quite exactly what I needed for my prototype locomotive. So I'm just doing a little bit of slight modification, changing the bracket itself on the bell to be more of a tapered bracket rather than the straight across. Whew. Hand's getting cramped. Interesting. Okay. Well, it would make sense that they lease the locomotive, though, too. That's, you know, they've been known to do that. So, makes sense. Oh my gosh, my hand is sore from keeping these tweezers pulled tight. Almost got it at the right angle. Ready to call that good, or do I want to do just a little bit more? I think it's good. Okay, so we've got our bell modified there. Not quite ready to put it on yet. Do we need to make a custom one? Well, Chris, if you were interested, I can send you the reference photo that I was just looking at so that you could offer this bell. I seem to have successfully modified the taper to work well enough, but I mean, I would imagine to offer the tapered bracket, it wouldn't take much modification of the file you've already got. If you wanted to do it, up to you. I know you're a busy guy though, so that's why I'm perfectly happy to just slightly modify what I've already got here. Yeah, I've got a pair of reverse tweezers, Scott. They're just, of course, not at the workbench. And actually, I need a pair of finer point reverse tweezers. Actually, you're right there. I do have a pair of forceps at the workbench, but I don't think that that's even a fine enough point to get in there and secure it the way I was securing it. So, yeah. Okay, that's all set. Let's see. Hopefully, we're safe now to pull off the clips here and start worrying about the grill grates themselves. Whew. My hands are, I'm getting a grip. Perfect, Chris. I'll make sure I send you over the reference photo I was looking at then. Okay. Yeah, so I've got to get these grill grates off of the sprues and get some filing work done. And then hopefully we'll be ready to rock. Yeah, you know, I think the X-Acto works better for this, honestly. I think I might need to go through from this side though. I think I'm able to get slightly closer to the part itself with the X-Acto, which actually I've got a fresher blade on a different X-Acto over here, so I should be using that. Heath's in the stream chat tonight, so that means I need to make sure that I'm actually using fresh X-Acto blades, otherwise he'll yell at me. A solid answer from Atlas. What's the question that you posed to Atlas, Garrett? Let's see, I've got a sharp container around here somewhere. I gotta make sure I put that old blade in there before I forget about it. There it is. Wow, that's interesting. Man, there's some crazy stuff. I've got to tell, you know what? I need to tell my friend Alex about that, because he's very, he just moved to the Albany area, and he is/was a Finger Lakes modeler, and is now that he's got a full basement to work with, interested in building a Boston and Maine themed layout. But boy, we might just salvage his Finger Lakes modeling interest if I tell him about them contracting the Mass Central. One more sprue left to do. Take these slow and steady, make sure I don't ruin anything. A live stream where things actually get done. I try, you know. I do count myself fortunate enough to have a workbench conducive to this sort of content, for sure. Oh, I just bent it. Oh, oh boy. Well, maybe I should bite the bullet and go back to trying to flush cut it as best I can. Ah, that stinks. Hopefully I can still make that work. Still took it out of frame here. Sorry about that, guys. It's on a railroad form from 2005. Wow, Tim. That's crazy. All right. This is the one I bent. I hope I can still get away with using it. I think I might be okay. Just kind of stinks. All right, let me get these cut as flush as I can, and then I'll go in with the file. Yeah, it's funny, Tim. I've noticed, you know, from time to time, that name popping up, you know, on older stuff as well myself. It's kind of funny, you know, how long. Not trying to be disrespectful at all here, so I hope it doesn't come off that way, but how long certain individuals have been a part of the digital railroad history scene, that sort of thing. Man, these parts really are fantastic, though. I'm super excited to be using them. Okay, let's see if we can very carefully get these tabs cleaned up and maybe start in on getting them installed. Wow, 1983, Ray. That's crazy. Did you invent the internet? And YouTube? You helped Al Gore, wow. Scott, I too am old enough to know that that's not correct. Don't you worry. In fact, not to delve too deeply into my childhood, but I had to go to public libraries and other places to upload my first YouTube videos, other places with high-speed internet to upload, because my parents still had dial-up. Actually, technically, they still don't have a high-speed internet provider on the telephone poles outside their house, which is crazy, because we're not that far outside of town, or they're not that far outside of town. Okay, I think we're almost there on this side. I would edit them on my old laptop and bring the laptop into the town library and sit there for an hour or two and read and upload a video. Those videos are long gone though, because they were not model railroading related and they were not relevant. Yeah, it's interesting for sure, Tim. You know, I mean, this day and age, depending on what you're doing, you can kind of get away with that. A lot of smartphones have a hotspot built into them if you need to get in on a computer, or you could just do it all on your phone. So. That's awesome. Billy or Danny or whichever Rail Brothers here. Welcome, by the way. Yeah, I missed it, but this YouTube channel itself officially hit its 10th birthday. And then I had another YouTube channel, which has since been buried, that was, I think, 5 years older than that. So I've been at it a while. Like I've mentioned from time to time, YouTube was a hobby for me before model railroading was. So being able to combine the two hobbies has really been a joy for me. I love the content creation side of things. I love hanging out with you guys on the live streams. You know, when I first started YouTube, I don't know that I could have ever imagined live streams like this being a thing. But boy, they are a blast. I love getting to hang out with all of you guys. All right, so we got Billy in the chat. Cool. But yeah, I mean, the live streams part of things is just so cool. Slowly and surely getting the tabs on this grill filed down. We're almost there. Very cool, Tim. Almost flush. Oh, I will say the one thing, and I don't want to mention the W word, but I had Thursday and Friday off this week. I am dreading going back to a mountain of emails tomorrow. So let's just, we'll pretend work doesn't exist until 6 a.m. alarm clock rings. I think, Ray, you just gotta put your elbows out and get a spot. I think that's the way it works. This is more of a Wild West situation where you just hitch up the covered wagon, get the kids in the back, and head west and stake out your claim. Just a tad bit more to take off up here. Yeah, Ray. Like I've said, at this point in our endeavor to fill YouTube with evenings worth of model railroading live stream content, I don't think we can get upset with one another if we're stepping on each other's shoes. I think we got to be past that point, because there's too many of us that want to stream. It's far too worth doing to, worry about upsetting anybody else. And like I said, when Mike and Andy, who they poll viewers for sure, moved to Monday night, I was like, hey, I'm not mad about it, but let's work together. Was really what my message was to them, and they're all but happy to do so, for sure. And Dennis and I have got some exciting plans as far as that's concerned to discuss eventually. We've got some things to get worked out, but it's going to work out for everybody. Don't you worry. A beta tester for Betamax. That's funny. Okay, so I think I'm making the decision that I'm going to get this grill grate on while I work on cleaning up the rest of them, because I can. Hoping to kind of get this grill grate stuff wrapped up tonight. That would be ideal for me. Boy, oh boy, these things look fantastic. Wow. Like I've continually mentioned, I mean, this is kind of my first time doing any sort of super detailing. Oh my gosh, you catch these things at the right angle and man, I don't know that I could have the patience to do this on every single model that I do, but I am super, super happy with, yeah, look at that. There's just so much more depth. Wow. Yeah, Chris, would be happy to have you stop in more Mondays, for sure. Half the time I'm working with your detail part, so appreciate having your expertise here when I've got a question, for sure. Yep, that's the Discord right there, Garrett. Thank you for sharing that as well. Appreciate it. Gosh, I'm just so impressed with how that looks. It was definitely a good decision to do that. Now, the interesting thing is these louvers, apparently you can bend open, but I was a little nervous to do that. Maybe if I do another similar build to this at some point, I'll try it on those, but I just didn't want to mess with that on my first attempt with these things. But that would be really cool to do, just to show it under load. The big issue for me was I didn't know what to put behind it so that you didn't just see into the locomotive at the right angle. Oh, so Billy, this is a GP9. So first generation EMD. So you know, transition era equipment. It's the last Finger Lakes locomotive that I need to do to complete my roster. It's Finger Lakes 1703. It's an ex-Milwaukee Road GP9 with a low short hood. So that means that it's got the low nose on it on the front instead of the high hood. So it's getting custom painted into the Finger Lakes 1703 to be Finger Lakes 1703. When we get that far, I had hoped to have this prepped and ready for paint tonight, but I don't know as if that's going to happen. Really, all I need to do once these grill grates are done is put that bell on, and then I think it's ready for primer. No, I've got to do the handbrake too. But after that, it should be ready for primer. I may actually do... I might put the cut levers on the pilots first, but the rest of the stuff I do after I paint, so. Still a long way to go on this project. We're definitely going to be working on it for a bunch of Mondays to come. Next Monday, though, we'll see if we're working on this. Actually, we most likely will be working on this, but I will have something else to show you guys. That'll be an upcoming project that's going to get worked on sometime in the next few months. Yeah, these are KV Model Skrills S. Bailey. That tab's good. Yeah, so the other thing, or the thing I'm going to show you next week, it's going to be pretty exciting because it's not HO scale. But that's all I'll say for now. But, like I said earlier in the stream, be on the lookout. Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard, there's a brand new video coming out on the channel. It's going to be exciting. We've got a big project coming up with a bunch of different creators that I'm really excited to be able to finally actually talk about in detail. This has been a long time coming. Slowly but surely, we're getting these tabs filed off. No, Andy, it's not 2-rail O-scale. But my buddy Rick, if he's still out there, he'd love to talk 2-rail O-scale with you. No bill. He's got a fantastic looking 2-rail O layout that I keep having to walk him off a cliff to trying to convince him not to tear it down. Hopefully, well, I think I may have lost the battle, but we'll see. Certainly keeps working on things. So. Well, the man you gotta talk to for the weathering is, of course, Mr. N-Scale Train Boy there. He knows what he's doing in HO scale and in N-Scale. I know enough to be dangerous, but I don't think I know anything worth putting a how-to video out there on. The only thing I think that I do differently that is worth shouting out is this stuff. This stuff's a cheat code for fading models, mission models, what do they call it? Transparent dust. That stuff is fantastic for doing fade work, as long as you're not concerned about color. But I've got some experimenting I want to do to see if it works, if the color theory can be added to it. I've got a couple of different opposing colors on the color wheel that I want to try just adding a couple of drops of it to that mission model stuff to see if it'll work to fade stuff down. Six-foot rule, right, Garrett? Well, I didn't really plan on the stream going till 7 or till 9, but that's the way it's looking. I've hit flow state. Would like to maybe just try to make sure I get the rest of the filing done on these. And if I'm gonna get the filing done, they're ready to glue, so I might as well glue. Whew. These definitely take a little bit of patience, which I'm happy to provide. Hopefully, it still made good content for you guys tonight. Tried to continue with a variety of things, not just filing. Last Monday's stream ended up just being a whole bunch of filing. But we, as per usual, had a good conversation to go along with it, at least. Definitely did tonight as well. And like I've said right from the beginning of the stream tonight, it's so exciting to be back in modeling season. Definitely got an exciting modeling season planned. for everybody. So if for some reason there's anybody out there that's not subscribed to the channel, definitely make sure you do so, because there's lots of fun stuff coming. Almost there on this one. Okay, happy with it. Looks good. Let's get it glued in. Awesome, Teddy. We'll have to see if we can get you, or see the stream somewhere. Dennis and I will be up enjoying the Northeast Region NMRA convention that weekend, which we're both super excited about. But Rick, Mr. No Bill, I think is going to be at the Mid-Atlantic, so maybe he'll stop by and take in your clinic in person. Rick may have fallen asleep, though. He does tend to do that, as he openly admits. All right, let's see what we can do here. Hard to tell how straight this is. I think that's pretty good on that side. Cool. So we'll set that to the side. Well, if we're talking RPMs, you know, there's also the Rochester RPM coming in the end of February as well, which will be pretty exciting. It's the first time we're doing one up here. And, of course, I'm also involved with the planning of that. You know, it's tough. I'm very excited about the event, and I'm very excited about all the events that I'm involved with the planning of. You know, it's hard to know where to say no in my schedule with all the stuff that I've gotten myself involved with planning. But there is going to have to come a point where I figure that out soon, because it's tough, you know, being involved with all of it, for sure. And still having time to model. Well, Chris, hopefully we can, maybe we can get you up for the RPM or something. I don't know if we're going to have vendors. I think the plan is to kind of have like a sale area, or a yard sale area, and then celebration and models in the middle of the room. We're going to have a Fremo layout on one side, T-Track on the other, and then we've got some great clinic space as well that we're hoping to be able to utilize. else there. That one. Paul the Planner, yeah. That's for sure. I think my mantra, or my driving principle in the hobby sort of isn't a good guardrail sometimes, and means that I end up in a lot more projects than maybe I should. And my guiding principle is just simply and broadly inspire people to model, which is great because, you know, it gives me the freedom on YouTube to do a lot of different things, which you'll see on Friday. But it also means that I end up involved with a lot of things. Most of which individually I'm very excited about. It's just when it comes to figuring out how to plan for them that it starts to come to a realization that you know, as much as you want to be involved, sometimes you got to figure out what you've actually got time for. And it's funny because all of the projects that I'm working on that's awesome, Chris, for sure, that you've tripled that much. We should make it better for the members. Yeah. Yep. Well, that's, you know, that could be a subcategory of mine as the assistant superintendent of the Lake Shores Division. Oh, speaking of which, that reminds me I've got an email to send out. The Lake Shores Division is having a what I like to call a kickoff to modeling season weekend this week. The start of our monthly round robin starts at Jim Fairbanks, who I've got a YouTube video of his layout tour for. He's hosting an op session, and then we've got the Great Batavia Train Show on Saturday, which of course I'm a member of GSME, so I will be there helping prep that. And yeah, really exciting stuff, but I've got some emails to send out in regards to the round robin, of course, since I also organize that. Still just looking at, yep. There's a different tiny thing in my hands, Heath, that you can't see. You'll have to take my word for it. Yeah, Chris, that would be cool. I mean, I've seen, you know, a couple of your models there that you're working on. You're doing some crazy stuff. I think I noticed, Chris, the other day that that you had used the Plano walkways on one of your builds that you were doing, and I think I'm gonna use those on my SD40-2 projects that I've got coming up for the freelances. So I'd be interested to get your thoughts on how well those went down, if they worked out well or not. Yep, Tim. Gyms is Saturday, train show Sunday. But as a member of GSME, I'm obligated to be there to help set up on Saturday. So that means I can't make it to gyms even though I organized it. Okay, I think we're good on that one. Let's see if I'm safe to... Yeah, I think I'm safe to flip this over. So let's get this one on. Oh no, your hubcap came off, Tim? Strobes look good. Looks like the initial coat of Tamiya is dry. Where did I put the lenses? Oh boy, where'd they disappear to? They're around here somewhere, I swear. Ah. That's just one coat on the exterior of the lenses. I don't know. They don't want to focus too bad. I think that the exterior looks good. I might do another coat. It seems to have gone on relatively clean. I just gotta then take them off the sprues and do the inside of them, I believe. So, but yeah, I think it worked out well. I can't see anything that says they're bad. Okay, let me get a little bit of fresh glue on the thing here. Yeah, clear seems to be working well, so I'm pretty happy with that. Big challenge with those strobes is going to be figuring out the bracket it's got to go on. I don't know, Chris, if you would know this offhand, but I have an extra one of the Rapido beacons that's got kind of the 4 LEDs all back to back to back, so you really get the strobing motion. And I think, Garrett, you used, I don't know if you used Chris's beacon in the one that you did, but I would love to be able to get away with putting that Rapido one in there, just so that you get the really cool actual, motion effect. If at all possible. I may have gone a little heavy-handed on the glue for this one. Oh, come on. This should not be set already. Why are we not struggling? Holy cow, that set so fast. I think I'm gonna be okay, but kind of crazy. Come on. Yeesh. I'm not super happy with that. How did that set that fast? Yeah, they are a little large. I mean, if it's really okay if it doesn't fit though. I think I'm good to use Chris's beacon still. Man. Okay. Okay. Well, we are now past 9 o'clock. Just got the one grill left to do. So I think I'll probably finish this off camera. Got the other side done. Really happy with how that turned out. Got a lot of other stuff underway tonight, which is awesome. I think hopefully by the time we are streaming again, knock on wood, fingers crossed, I may have this thing ready to decal. But that's not a promise. That's for sure. So, again, everybody, I really appreciate you all tuning in tonight. It was a blast hanging out with all of you. It was a great conversation. Like I said, be on the lookout for a brand new video coming Friday. It's going to be a wild one, so be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And we'll see you on Friday for the new video, and then hopefully next Monday again for another Talkin' Trains live stream. Thanks, everybody. Take care. See you later.